Nicole and Amanda, thanks for joining us for today's For SPAR's Better and Better podcast, focusing on Beyond the Stats. Nicole Hayden and Amanda Cox, both of you as part of the Communications Committee. Thanks for joining me. I'm Jennifer Kovacic, the Communications Director here at SPAR. And let's talk stats a little bit.
Thanks for having us.
So, good news. The National Association of Realtors recently reported that they are forecasting a 13% increase in existing home sales for 2024. That's up from 2023. And as you both know, statistics tell the story of sellers being more optimistic about listing homes now and about receiving stronger offers. I know we talked a little bit before, and it sounds like you're both kind of excited for the year ahead. Statistics are also just, I guess, painting that positive picture. And there is just a better feeling about people and payments on people being able to make those payments on their next home. So that's a little bit national. Locally in the Twin Cities, new listings increased 18% to 3,942, up from a year ago. And this marks the third consecutive month of year-over-year gains in new listings. And I know we talked about this a little bit too, and I think even one of you recently had made this comment, but some say the spring season begins after the Super Bowl. And this year, with what has felt like spring for many weeks now, it's probably more true than others. But I guess I'll just ask, I mean, do you find this true in your own experiences and what you're seeing, and what is kind of that telltale sign? Amanda, do you want to start?
Sure. Yes, I definitely start getting more calls, I'd say end of February to mid-March. Historically, this year's been a little bit different, but then we also start seeing those listings popping up about this time.
Yeah, I would concur with that. I do think it came a little bit sooner this year because it's been so nice. I think folks kind of have that spring energy a lot sooner. We've come out of hibernation, I think, a little bit sooner. So folks have an appetite to be out buying or to be out selling. I would say a telltale sign is just, for me, hearing from people that we haven't been talking about real estate at all and getting that random call or that random message on Facebook that says, hey, I'm thinking about selling my house this year. It's like, oh, sweet. My Facebook stuff is working. People are reaching out. It's effective. Yeah, that's to me the sign that the market is starting to pick up when you're starting to hear from people you hadn't talked to about real estate yet. And sometimes then those conversations snowball into business, which is great.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So homes lingered on the market for an average of 56 days in January, which is actually just over 8% faster than last year. And in this time frame, sellers were accepting offers at 96.7% of their asking price, which was up from 2023, but down a little bit from 2022. I know in 2022 we were seeing that 100%, sometimes even a little bit more than that. I guess we're answering this question maybe a little bit differently, but how would you describe the mood in today's marketplace based on your experiences?
Yeah, in my experience with both buyers and sellers, I would say I'm seeing, which I appreciate, still a little bit more of a patient approach. Buyers wanting to be still thoughtful and take a little bit of time to make the decision. I don't think we're quite to where we were like 3 years ago, where people were willing to forego the inspection, go way over asking, talk about appraisal clauses. We're not there. I think people still have an awareness that they want to be competitive. So they're going to find different ways to do that isn't sacrificing the security of knowing that they know what kind of house they're buying, which I think is healthy. So I'm seeing excitement, but also a really healthy, cautious energy from buyers, which I welcome. I think that's appropriate.
Yeah, I'm hearing that competitive but cautious.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Message.
Yep, I agree 100%. I also see an anticipatory feeling where everybody's getting really excited for spring and just to see what happens with the spring market this year. So I think just seeing both activity-wise, interest rate wise, what's going to happen. I definitely have seen buyers being a little bit more cautious with the rates and just kind of wanting to hold off just a little bit to see what the rates do. So there's definitely a lot of that in the air.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. Well, and here we're sitting, end of February? hitting 40s today. I think yesterday we peaked at 50. So pretty incredible.
It's gorgeous.
And, kind of with that, like the impact of this mild winter, do you think it is making people just maybe make some decisions that because it feels different this year?
100%. I think that we haven't had a winter this year. I mean, traditionally, Minnesotans, as soon as the temperatures drop and the snow hits, we hibernate. We go into our houses and we shut the door and we don't come out until, the groundhog has said, it's time. And this year, we just haven't had that at all. So, people are out jogging, people are out walking. It's like spring has hit and it's February. So I think, in my personal experience, I definitely have had a busier January and February year over year than I have the last, few years, just because people are thinking about buying and selling houses. They're thinking about all the things that they think of in the spring.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They're in their spring cleaning mindset sooner. And sometimes people that are selling have been waiting, once I get this room packed up or once I get like a fresh coat of paint. And I think people just have a different energy to do that as opposed to being in hibernation mode. So some of that work that folks were doing to get their house ready is happening a lot sooner than it usually would.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, we just did a garage overhaul over the weekend because it was such nice weather, and normally that's in May. So
right, yeah.
I totally concur on that. And obviously it remains to be seen if we're going to have any cold and snow like the March storm we're so used to. Although I know weather experts are predicting that we're just unseasonably warm, and probably we won't, but I guess it remains to be seen. But on that note, let's talk a little bit about that getting the house ready and what advice you might have for yourself or for other agents to share with working with clients to prep for that spring market, which, as we've said, has kind of started now.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this time of year, sometimes we can have the gift of a beautiful blanket of white snow covering like leaves or mud or things that didn't get taken care of before we got that first snowfall, and we didn't get to do that. So I think tidying the yard, especially this weekend, which is going to remain in the 50s, is a great opportunity to do that. But we also have this beautiful opportunity. Maybe you're not going to paint the whole house, but it's nice enough to paint the exterior door, even if it's not a new color, but just to refresh that. Or maybe it is a nice big pop of color. Or there's trim along the garage doors, or steps are crackling. Those details that are the first impression. We have the weather right now to take care of some of those things that are going to be a game changer for when somebody first drives up to your house. So taking advantage of that on the exterior, not just the interior, which I think is very unique to be thinking about that in February.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I once had somebody tell me, you always want your house to be the shiny penny. And as we're getting into spring market, we're seeing more and more listings come on the market. And just for agents getting their clients' houses ready to sell, we want to be that shiny penny. We want to give people that reason to come to our listing, versus all the other competition. And some of those things that I just always recommend, doing a very, very deep clean, because everybody has different versions of clean. And this is interior and exterior. Mm-hmm. So you want to make sure that your yard is picked up. Interior, I always say do hotel clean or white glove clean, where you can put a white glove on your hand and you can run that finger anywhere in the house and it comes away clean. So those little corners, baseboards, windowsills, all of those things that we usually just tend to forget about on top of the refrigerator. Mm-hmm. All of those places, just making sure that those are spotlessly clean. This is a topic I could just go on forever, but decluttering, that's such a big thing. And just making sure that, I tell clients, anything you're not going to use for the next 3 months, pack up nicely, either get a storage locker or a pod, or just stack boxes neatly on one side of your garage, but get all of that out of the house, depersonalize, You want people to walk into the house and feel like it could be their house. You don't want them to walk in and say, "Wow, this is your house." So that's something big. And then one thing I always recommend is just fresh paint. So we have smells when we live in a house, and whether you have kids, pets, if you cook in your house, most people do, you just have smells, and you don't notice them when you're living there. But when you walk into a listing, you smell everything, and your buyers smell everything. So making sure that you're helping to eliminate those smells, and one of the easiest ways, I think, to do that is just a coat of fresh paint. It brightens everything up. It gets rid of little scuffs and nicks, and then it just gives that new house smell. So I think like bang for buck, fresh paint all the way. Other tips just to kind of shine in the spring market, make sure to get professional photos. All the time, I mean, that is how we sell houses now. We sell houses online. In order to even get people in your door, they have to see something online that is like, wow, get me to that house. So, get professional photos. Make sure that your photos just shine. And then another tip just coming into spring would be coming soon status. I have found that to be an invaluable tool just to increase your chances of getting multiple offers, because that first weekend you're on the market, because you've been in coming soon for a week or 2 weeks, you now have a grouping of showings versus like it comes on and you get 1 or 2 showings and then 1 or 2 showings the next day. This way people have plenty of time to book those showings, and I just feel like it gives you a better shot at those sought after multiple offers.
Yeah, it creates really healthy anticipation when you have some coming soon, like runway. I don't know, I've done this maybe once, but I have a couple colleagues who will strategically, they'll be in coming soon, like before the weekend, and stay in coming soon over the weekend, and actually go live like a Monday or Tuesday. And their goal is to catch folks who were in multiples and didn't get an offer accepted over the weekend. And they're specifically targeting those very motivated buyers who are, calling their agent and wanting to look regardless of the day of the week. That's their goal, is to kind of target that group. So I think that's great. And yeah, I would just echo
Good tip.
Professional photos, take the time to declutter and stage, because if you're going to get professional photos, you want it to show well. I work with a stager, and she tells my clients all the time, box up your stuff, but then be really careful to put your boxes in a nice little neat and tidy order in a corner, even if it's boxes, as opposed to them being open and things kind of hanging out. It makes a big difference in how they show up online, because I think you get an average of like 5 or 6 photo clicks before somebody has made that first impression, and then they're either keep going or they're out. So
Right.
Well, and I think probably there's a little bit of, when you see the neat and tidy, you expect that the person who lived there kept the home neat and tidy, or at least stayed on top of maintenance and
Absolutely.
other issues.
yeah,
Absolutely. Yep, definitely.
change that furnace filter. I always check that when I go in a house. I always look at the furnace filter. That's always a good indicator of what kind of care people take of their house. If this hasn't been changed in a while, what else hasn't been
Sure.
had attention? So
Good tip.
So to help create that shiny penny with a home, are there some tips for, what you shared really is great. I'm wondering if there are any tips for people that maybe want to stay on that budget, but kind of have that shiny penny in terms of a draw to their house. I mean, adding a splash of color, what are some things that you've seen or maybe suggested to folks to do that?
yeah, I think something I've seen as a trend, it started to pick up in 23, and I think it's only going to get hotter in 24. I think we're kind of transitioning from the like white and gray, keeping everything neutral, to people want to see color, personality without personalization, which is a fine balance. So especially now when the outside is kind of brown and dreary, how do you bring pops of color? Maybe we can't put potted plants outside yet if they're not going to survive, or you're bringing them in and out. But inside, we like to kind of thread a consistent color in a house so that as you're clicking through, you're always seeing like a bright blue or a purple, or maybe you're finding from the thrift store some fake plants so you can give this feeling of things being lush and fresh and new. The thing that brings spring is like plants in the interior. Things outside aren't going to be green. So I'm a big fan of bringing color wherever you can, and making it consistent from room to room. You don't want to have like a red room and a yellow room, but have like a flow about it. Yeah.
Yep. I think kind of just echoing some of kind of what I talked about before, cleaning. You can clean your house yourself, so that doesn't cost a lot of money, just giving it a really, really deep clean, decluttering, and then properly staging. So you may not have enough money to hire a professional stager, but that's where they can really rely on our expertise too. I like to use one of my super secret realtor tools, Pinterest, to get really good staging ideas. So I go on Pinterest, I scroll through until I find a room that looks like one of my clients' rooms, and then I can kind of try to mimic that with what they already have. And then sometimes I'll bring in just a couple pieces. I have just a few staging things of my own, but you don't have to. I mean, you can pick them up at a thrift store. You can pick them up for really inexpensively, and then just use that in the home. And it doesn't cost a lot of money, and it really makes a big impact in the pictures. Taking all the magnets and pictures off of your refrigerator. It's free. It doesn't cost anything, and that is huge. That's like one thing whenever I look at kitchens and they have things on the refrigerator, it just, your eyes draw immediately to that, and it distracts from the rest of the kitchen.
Put your plunger and your toilet cleaner in the cabinet underneath your sink. Don't have them out for the pictures.
Good job. Yes.
Yep.
You have to keep your bathroom clean, so you need those things. But people don't want to see your dirty plunger, when they're looking at your house to buy. Yeah, that's a great one. Yep. I think.
Yeah, those are great. Common sense things that if you're living in it every day, you might not even see it.
Right.
To notice it. Well, I'll share from the January stats. Some of the cities with the largest percentage of new listings year over year from January are Apple Valley, Big Lake, Circle Pines, Forest Lake, Isani, and Stillwater. So a big geographic spread within Spar's service area. As we all know, mortgage rates hit a 23-year high in October of 2023. Luckily, we've all seen the rates come down a little bit since then as well. The median sales price was up just over 2% to $350,000, which, to provide some context, is about $199 per square foot. And today we're seeing affordability with the monthly payment on the median priced home at $2,680 in 2023, which was comparable to $1,760 in 2021. So a higher payment there. That additional cost can impact savings rates and discretionary spending in the economy. So I love that we had the conversation a little bit about things you can do on a budget, things you can do that don't take a budget. I'm curious, what are some creative ways you're seeing your clients be able to afford a home?
Good question.
Go for it.
A couple things that I have seen my clients do is utilizing down payment assistance programs. And part of that is because the interest rates are higher, their monthly payments are going to be a little bit higher. This frees up a little bit of that cash to help them make those monthly payments a little bit more affordable. So I've seen that. I've seen clients draw into 401ks. I've seen them get gifts from family members just to help them get into a house right now, kind of all with the plan that eventually rates are going to go down and they'll be able to refinance. But yeah, that's a couple things I've seen.
Yeah, and I think those are all effective strategies. I do see some folks sitting on their hands and waiting for interest rates to come down. And I think, while I understand the motivation there, they want to have more buying power, and we get that with lower rates. I try to encourage people to think about it in a little bit of a different mindset. When we have lower interest rates and you've got more buying power so you can bid over, which is unfortunately what will happen again because lots of people are waiting for interest rates to come down. So that competition increases. Now you've locked into a price that's higher than the purchase, and that's a dollar amount we can't change. If you shop today with the interest rate as it is right now, and you can afford this monthly payment, well, albeit higher than it has been, when you get to an interest rate that's comfortable and you can refinance, suddenly you've put yourself in a position of more affordability in a house that you found now. And that can help with maybe a project that you want to be. The house might not be perfect now, and maybe we down the road have a kitchen that we want to bring back to life. Well, if you buy it what you can afford now, you refinance, and then all of a sudden you've got a monthly budget to save for that improvement. You've invested now and you're getting the benefit of that equity, as opposed to a lot of folks who are going to wait for that interest rate buying power, and then all of a sudden they lock themselves into a price point that they're not going to be able to change. So I think it's just important we have those conversations with people to consider. I would never encourage somebody to buy a house with projects they can't take on. By all means, don't get yourself into that situation. But also, I think people have to be realistic that they're not going to get the HGTV like turnkey house every single time, and to just be realistic with that.
I love that perspective on wiggle room, though. You know,
Yep.
kind of a gift if you're able to have that in the future, and you're not necessarily anticipating that you'll get it for sure, but then all of a sudden it happens. Are either of you seeing some of your clients make concessions, things that maybe were on that wish list, but they're willing to take that step back from? What are some of the things you're seeing?
Yeah. I'm definitely seeing a lot of clients go down in price point. So a lot of, especially first-time home buyers who initially had those, dreams of 400 or a little over, are now taking a step back to that 350 range. So I feel like that market is becoming even more competitive because of what the rates have been doing. I've also had clients switch from single-family homes to townhomes just for that affordability factor, giving up some of the upgrades and area location. So they initially wanted to be in this specific location, but due to the fact that now their price point has come down, they've had to realize that they may have to step back into, a second or third tier suburbs versus, maybe that first ring. I've seen a lot of that.
Yeah, I think that's really common. I don't see a lot of folks these days willing to sacrifice like number of bedrooms and bathrooms. Certainly, I don't know many folks who are willing to go to one bathroom, especially if they're coming from like a rental situation. They want that second bathroom, but maybe more willingness to drive a little farther than where they wanted to be able to increase their affordability. I live and work in the kind of northern suburbs. A lot of folks that I support moving in that direction are looking for more land and acreage. I'm seeing some folks have a willingness to be under an acre as long as they're close to nature trails, walking. Like having that outdoor lifestyle is really important. And a lot of folks want that these days, and it's becoming more expensive to obtain. So I've seen people reduce their search from a minimum 1 acre to maybe a half acre, as long as we're within a walking distance to a lake or a park where they can kind of enjoy that.
Which really is a gift in Minnesota because we have so much of that.
Yes. Yeah,
Absolutely.
Jinx.
If you guys were to reflect back kind of on your past year and we're heading into 2024, what are some of maybe a change you've seen, or just in general, what are you excited for this coming year?
Yeah, I'll start with excited for. I'm excited for more inventory. I think people having more choice is exciting. I also see more inventory from our population of aging sellers. I think folks who maybe were ready a year and a half or 2 years ago to sell, but really weren't sure if they would get their full value compared to what they were looking at 3 and 4 years ago. I think we're going to see a lot more folks get into that market, which for me opens up this whole new first-time home buyer stock of inventory, but also it helps. When I think about my aging sellers, I think about them being able to make that choice while they're still capable and when they still have help, as opposed to getting to a point where it's a have to do. And when it's a have to, you're in a much more time crunch, stressful, sometimes sad situation. So it
changes the mindset.
It
too.
Does, yeah. So even having this spring mindset right now, people getting themselves ready for that transition when they want to and are able to do that, as opposed to have to. That's exciting for me. I just think it's a much more enjoyable experience. I think their families benefit more from that. Their life after their home sale is going to be that much more enjoyable. And then the flip side is I think a lot of our first-time home buyers are going to have a lot more options. So that's what I'm excited for. I hope that really kind of breaks open the floodgates this spring and summer.
And I love that perspective because there's always going to be have to, but how fun when it can be the want to.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's definitely where the fun comes in. I'm excited about that 13% increase in home sales, just that we're going to have more business this year. Like Nicole said, I think just having an increase in inventory is so exciting because we've been so short on inventory for so long and that the market has been so tilted one way. I'm excited to see it kind of even out a little bit more. And, just for buyers to have more of a chance to have a say and not just feel forced into something because that was the only offer that got accepted. To be able to walk into a house, to love it, to put forward a good offer and to actually be able to get that house. And I think that's been such a big challenge, for the last couple years for buyers. So I'm excited for that. I just think 2024 is going to be a really great year in real estate. And I'm just excited because we just have the best jobs. It's just so fun to be able to be a part of, one of the biggest things that happens in somebody's life, whether it's for a positive or, if it's something they're forced to do, if it's a divorce, if it's, selling a deceased parent's home, like we get to be there to comfort them. Yep. And that's just such a gift. And I don't know, it's just fun. It's just a fun and exciting job. Yep. So, and I think it's just one of the best feelings ever is just handing the keys over to a first-time home buyer who's been through the ringer trying to get a home, and just that excitement of like, this is mine, it's so fun. So I think all of that's really exciting.
Oh, that's great. Well, and just sitting with both of you today, and it doesn't hurt that the sun is shining through the window on us, but just to be able to have this conversation where it's more focused on positivity and rates are down a little bit and things are feeling good and inventory will be coming up predictably. Just, it's a great feeling. So I guess I'll just, before we wrap, say, is there anything that we wanted to touch on that we haven't? Anything you want to share before we wrap today?
I'll share this just because I think this is something that I wish I would have told myself like my first couple springs and summers. This is the busy season, which is awesome. And it's also the season to remember to continue your connecting activities. You're going to be out with buyers a lot more than you have been in the last couple months. That doesn't mean we set aside our calling, our sphere, and making those intentional connections, because that's what's going to continue to build your pipeline into the fall and winter months, which can be the slower time. But people do still have those have-to situations or want to sell at that time or buy at that time. So this will be the first time I think I'm walking into spring and summer with that really intentional mindset of, remember, you're going to get busy, and to continue to make those connections for business in 6 months or 9 months down the road. Don't get too laser focused on what's happening right now. So that would be my tip.
Yep. I love that. I had a tip written down here at Work Your Sphere, which is like pretty much the same thing Nicole said. So yeah, just stay in contact, build those relationships always. And when I first started in real estate, I had a mentor who told me to door knock, and I said, that's not my thing. And he said, okay, well, what is your thing? And I said, relationships. And that has been what I've, based my business on, has been building relationships, both with new clients that have been referred to me. I feel like they've become friends, and I feel like a lot of my friends have become clients. I mean, they're still friends, but I've been able to help them buy and sell homes too. So I think just nurturing those relationships, getting in touch with people that you've fallen out of touch with. It's never too late to connect, and it doesn't have to be, who do you know that's going to buy or sell a house, but just ask them about themselves, get together with them, have coffee, be authentic. And, I think if you genuinely care about people, they'll be able to see that, and you'll be able to build, trust in a relationship, and maybe be able to help them in the future.
Yeah, those are both really valuable and, great strengths to share. And honestly, to your point, Amanda, if relationships is your strength, work on that, grow it, continue those relationships. And if it's door knocking, then get out there and, knock on those doors.
Absolutely.
And just really find out what your strength is and capitalize on it. So, well, thank you both. Another great discussion. Always fun to talk with both of you.
Thanks so much for having us. This is really fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like we should go out and do something springy today. So thank you for putting us in that mood.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.